Well, hello, this is Linda from North Central Texas. I wanted to get on here and show you that we've got enough rain and it's been cool enough that the mums have started to get buds. And I've just broke a piece right here. I'm going to show you how easy it is to root mums, because I root mine every year and spread them around, and it's been so dry this year I haven't done too much of it because it's just been too dry on them. But that's a little piece right there, a mum that I stuck in the ground, and it's already rooted. And there's a pot of mums that I had bought at the store the other day. I told you that I was going to keep it there to keep that little rose bush kind of protected until it gets bigger. And I went ahead and took the one I had here on the table and put my aloe vera here, because I usually put Christmas stuff on this table starting right after Thanksgiving. So I just put that there temporarily. And I took the other one that I had gotten and put it in that half barrel and put it over here. All I had to do was dig out a hole and put it in there, because that pot already had mulch, tree bark, native soil, leaves, everything else broken down from where I had some of the vines growing in it. So I didn't have to add anything to it. I just had to dig it out and put the plant in there and water it a little bit and let it go. But just wanted to give you an update. There's one of my crepe myrtles that I planted this summer, back the first of the summer. It looks like it's going to survive. My peppermint come back to life. All my rose bushes out there are doing good. In fact, let's go check on them, because I haven't checked on them in about a week. Well, since I showed them last, because I knew they did need water. And look at there, my mums that I got up here. Woo. And these pots are starting to bloom. Little rose bush in the center there is surviving. The mums over there are starting to bloom. But yeah, it's so easy to root mums. And I found the purple ones, for some reason, are more like a perennial than the yellow or the brownish ones, because I've planted all the different colors, and the purple is the only ones that I have success with them coming back every year. And that rose bush there is doing okay. That crepe myrtle that I transplanted, that little rose bush there is doing great. I keep running into these tree limbs over here. That one's doing good. And that one. So see, it didn't matter that they were small. I mean, if you got them rooted and you keep them watered, and see there, they're going to grow. That one there, beside some kind of squash bush and other flower. I've been trying to get the seeds off of this because I wanted to save some of them. That's some of the flower seed that I had planted, and it got in the compost. But I'm leaving all my okra plants, because they're still budding out. They're still trying to produce okra. In fact, I just broke some off yesterday. We get the first freeze and it starts killing stuff back, then I'll break those back, and see, they're still flowering, still putting out little okra. Like I said, I'm leaving that big one for seed. And see, I put my tree bark, cardboard, leaves, native soil. Started dumping in table scraps. I put in toilet rolls, paper towels, and then I went around yesterday and broke some of this vine. This is some of the squash, cantaloupe vine that has already died. And I broke down enough of it that I topped off each one of my white buckets that I've got started here with it. And we're supposed to get more rain Friday, so, and this is what, Wednesday. So, I'm going to leave it, let it rain on it. Wait a few days, then I might come out here and put some more table scraps. And then put native soil on top, and then that'll be good until spring. And then I'll start concentrating on some of these other ones. These are still putting out peppers. Like I said, if I loved hot peppers, I'd have it made because I've got plenty of them. And my squash, zucchinis, there's, you know, that's a little zucchini right there. And this is October, November. So I don't know if it'll get any bigger than what it is, but it's trying, so we'll see. And that one's putting out a yellow squash. And this little tomato plant, I think it's the Roma tomatoes. It's got that one big one over here. And then it's got a couple of little ones started. And I'm just hoping it stays warm enough that I can harvest a few of those. Because those are the first tomatoes that little plant's had on it this summer. Because it's been too hot on it. You see, I got plenty of marigolds still. And that pepper plant's got, it's top heavy with peppers. I need to come in here and trim up my rose bushes. Get some of the dead part off of them. But I got time. I don't have to do it right now. But look at this. There's a whole clump of tomatoes there. There's like 3 there, 1 behind it. And that's just growing out of a little pot. It's not even as big as a 5-gallon bucket. Tomato. My eggplant's almost big enough to think about cutting it. I got tomatoes up here. Can't see if I'm showing them to you or not. There they are. Whole clump of them. And it's still putting out flowers. So my eggplant is too. Look at those. My banana pepper is going crazy, putting out more peppers since I picked all of them the other day. I got tomatoes down in here hiding. And I had this too jammed up, I guess. I shouldn't have put the toad in there. But my broccoli's growing like crazy in this tote. If I just moved it out of the way to where it has room to grow. I didn't think about all that other stuff growing over it when I put it there. Another red pepper. And I've still been steadily picking tomatillos. I've been picking maybe 1 or 2 every couple of days or so and just putting them in the kitchen and let them add up. And this poor plant here, if these tomatoes don't pretty soon start to ripen, the tomatoes are going to be so big and so heavy. I mean, that's a baseball-sized tomato right there or bigger. And the one next to it is almost that big. One there and one over here. I just hope they have time to get ripened. But they're so heavy, they're going to break the, you see, they're going to break this vine down if they don't pretty soon ripen. And look at this. Over here on the trellis where the potatoes and stuff was planted. I got little tomatoes there, down here, up here, up there. So if they don't ripen, I'm just going to pick me some green tomatoes, and if there's enough, I'll fix chow chow, and if there's not enough, I'll just make fried green tomatoes. But you can see I put my rose bushes in there to try them. The one in there, and I took a Mountain Dew bottle and put one in it because they claim that your cuttings don't need direct sunlight. So I said, well, a green tinted bottle should work great. That's not going to let that strong sun in on your cutting book. I'm testing it, so we'll find out. And those cuttings are looking still pretty good. They're still pretty green. And I'm trying to keep them wet so they don't dry out. And I got one of them down there that's actually, look at that. It's actually growing right here. It's got a shoot coming out on it. Now that one don't look too good. Yeah, I'll have to replace that one. That's probably one I overlooked when I did them before. But those are all looking good. So we'll see what happens. But you see, that's a bigger cutting. I think most of the cuttings that I did the first go round were too small. That's why they didn't survive. You got to have a thicker cutting. So if some of the rest of them don't survive, then I'm going to cut bigger cuttings. And I'll probably get a few more when I trim back my rose bushes. But getting back to what I wanted to do, I've already put a couple of the cuttings of the mums in that small pot. Remember, right, that's the pot that the mums came in. And I told you I'd find a use for it. So I took some of the extra dirt out of the wine barrels up there that I planted those other mums in and put it in there, and I just stuck my mums down in there to root. And they'll root. If you keep them, the ground moist that's in that pot, they'll root. And here's the one. All I got is broken down pine bark or oak bark. I've got leaves, broken down native soil that was under the tree. And that's all there is in this pot. And I'm sticking this right down in there. About as deep as I can get it. I'm going to come back here and water it in a little bit. And that's all I'm going to do to that. And I'll have another mum plant that I can put out front. But look at those. I still got tomatoes, still got blooms coming on them. And I've been picking these things. Look at there. I've been picking them almost every other day. Because I know if they get too ripe, they're going to fall on the ground. And look at all of those. Looks like this eggplant is about run its course. Or it's not. It loved that hot weather we had. But oh no, it's got buds up there. I didn't even notice those. Buds there, so it's going to be putting out more eggplant. Look at that. Those are eggplant buds. So I'm definitely going to be getting more eggplant off of that. But look at the tomatoes. I still got tomatoes. And I keep running into that one. It keeps hitting me in the head. I have to start ducking or do something with it, or I'll break it off accidentally. Let's see. And the peppers are still putting out. So you see, I got to pick that one. That one looks good. I think I'm going to eat that one right now. That is so good. And there's more tomatoes. I cleaned this one bare. That's brandy wine ones right there. Because like I said, I've been coming out here picking them about every other day or so. Because I know if I don't pick them, they'll fall on the ground and the bugs will get them. It's like that when it got ripe and I didn't catch it. And there's some down in there in the pot. Because the limb fell down in there. I'm going to have to keep my eye on them. Right there. You see? So don't let nobody tell you can't grow tomatoes and have them produce in October and November for your fall garden. Because if you'll keep those mature plants alive that you planted back in the spring, they'll start producing again as soon as the weather cools off a little bit. And look at there. There's my radishes. That one down there's getting pretty big. I kind of wish I'd have planted more than what I did, but I was testing these. I wasn't sure they'd do anything in these dish pans. But I had transplanted some there, and I transplanted some over there. And I harvested me a whole bunch of this Swiss chard the other day and put it in some greens that I ate. Everything else is doing real well. My okra over here is still producing. It's got a little okra on it. Got a little one right there. The moringa tree likes it since I transplanted in that 5-gallon bucket. I had to stake it up though because the wind was blowing it over. More peppers there. Some people might get tired of me showing some of this, but I just like to give you an update. And see, there's a tomato. And I got lettuce started down there that came up from some of the compost. My seed didn't come up that I planted over here in the dish pan, but it's come up over here in the compost. And I've already started a 5-gallon bucket here since I've got the 5-gallon bucket planter all practically finished. I started out with broken down bark, leaves, native soil. I put some table scraps in there. I put in toilet rolls, you know, the toilet paper rolls, paper towels, things like that. And then I'm going to start dumping more scraps in there. And then when I think I get enough scraps put in there, I'll put a little bit of native soil on top. And then that'll be set. And just leave it sit there till the spring, and it'll be ready to plant in. You see there. I mean, most of my stuff is still producing, or trying to. And this is November 2nd in Texas. Got a little tomato right there. I don't know what kind that is, but it's a tomato. Yeah, so I'm going to have to rethink my arbor next year. I put it there because usually the tomato plants that I plant here grow so tall, like out there, that just bent over. I thought I had that type of tomato bush here, but they didn't grow up that way. What I had here was shorter, and they shouldn't have been. So I'm going to have to try to get some of my cherry tomatoes and my grape tomatoes and the brandywine ones started over here next year, so they grow up on the arbor. But my peppermint has come back to life. Tomatoes, I don't know over here. They've tried to produce, but they haven't done it yet. The mandevilla is coming up, and I thought that was an annual. I planted it last year. See? That's mandevilla. And I thought it would grow really good to plant it here with my clematis, because I've got blue clematis and I've got like a purple clematis that are growing up the arbor right now. And then of course the mandevilla is kind of a shocking pink, or a deep pink color. So I'm really anxious to see if it survives this winter and comes back up in the spring, because if it does, and we don't have another heat wave like we did this year, that should be really pretty. And I just cannot get over that. A twin eggplant. But yeah, these things, they're trying to put out blooms right here. But I don't think it's had a tomato on it yet. And I don't know if it's going to have time. But it's putting out little flower buds. So it's trying to produce. We'll see what happens. But anyway, I wanted to give you an update on how things are looking. And like I said, we were supposed to have our first frost date, I think November 7th. And they've changed it already, because it's only going to be down in the 40s, I think, on the 7th. And even warmer than that some of the other nights. So, unless they change the weather, my plants are going to have several more weeks for my tomatoes to ripen up, for my peppers to produce, and my okra to produce. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. And like I said, you know, those poor tomato plants, they're just growing like crazy, and they're healthy. Look at that. Healthy plants. And I know if we get a couple of freezes, they're not going to survive, even if I put them in the greenhouse with a light. I don't think they'll survive in there. I mean, I can try and see what happens, but... And look at that. It's a whole clump of tomatoes down there. Whole clump here started. I've got tons of blooms. More tomatoes started here. One up there. A clump over there. I mean, I'm not trying to brag, but And I know this is not a, you know, it's not like I got a whole farm of tomatoes growing, but look. This is November 2nd, and I've got tomatoes and more blooms on my tomato plants. So, and they'll keep doing that until it gets cold enough to freeze. And I harvested my leaves, so these kind of look straggly, but they still, look at them, how healthy they look. I mean, those are those little tiny plants that I stuck in there. They like the cooler temperature because the ground stays a little bit more moist. That one coming up down there. So, just wanted to get on here and give you an update, show you how things were going, showing you that my garden is still producing, it's still growing. I still got bell peppers that I've got to pick. So, anyway, please like, share, and subscribe to my videos. And y'all have a blessed day, and I will see you on the next one.